Hello, my name is Rock Gaming AU, and this is a post-game commentary that I'm going to run over my latest Shadow of Mordor PB, which is currently sitting in 5th position as of recording this. So right now we're just blazing through the tutorial. We're just walking as close as we can to Dirheim so that he attacks us and we get the block animation as soon as possible. After 4 parries we get to start attacking him, so beating up on the child. And then we blaze through the tutorial in the next cutscene. You may have noticed that timing for this run actually starts when we gain control of Talion, not when we start the game. So here we're using the ground execution. Ground execution is the quickest way to kill orcs here, however we are unable to ground execute the orcs that Dirheim is fighting because he interrupts our grab animation. So that was a failed grab, and we'll put that orc on the ground. And here I just end up swinging my sword at this one because Dirheim's also attacking and I don't want him to get in the way. Yes, definitely grabbing and then ground executing is the fastest way to do this, and in fact I've got as low as a 110 coming finishing this section off. Unfortunately this run had a little bit of delay due to Dirheim getting in my way once or twice. But you can see that it's still really fast and consistent. Okay, so here we're actually coming up to what is my favourite tutorial ever. We learn how the stealth mechanics work in this game by walking up behind our wife and giving her a stealth kiss, which is just hilarious if you think that Talion only knows how to stealth kiss people, and instead of killing these orcs, he's just going up and stealth killing.
Don't move.
Alright, not much to say about this part. The orcs are pretty silly, so we can just sort of run at them and then stealth at the very last second. Here we'll do a roll to get out of the execute animation quickly, and we'll do the same thing here, and stab this guy and get done before 2-minute mark. Alright, now we've just got a long load sequence, so I'll see you after that.
His life now belongs to Gondor.
Father, if you turn my love in, I shall swear I killed Lord Asgon when he attacked me.
Okay, so here we're just spamming the control key straight away. That's the first input we need to put, then it's space escape, and we're good to go. We jump off this tower and then immediately roll into a cutscene. It doesn't matter where we sort of roll as long as we're moving forwards. And the game resets us to a static position anyway here. Okay, so this is the same kind of style of Shadow of War. We just want to be using our bow, toggling off our focus to slow down time so we get headshots. So we only turn it on when we're basically going for the shot itself. And that's the sort of the quickest way to get through this section. Next bit, it doesn't actually matter what you do here, it's just 2 seconds and then the game will load this guy. Now I actually go for a running tackle here. I'm not sure if it's faster or not. It seems faster, but I haven't actually timed it basically instead of a walking tackle. So just something to keep in mind that may or may not be faster. We get the information, we just spam through the menus and we go to the first mission. So I will see you there.
The world has changed. Nothing makes sense.
Nothing has changed. This is how it will be. The future and the past are linked in darkness.
I don't understand why I'm here.
And I can't remember. Let's go.
One quick thing to note here, we need to kill 3 spiders to get a bow upgrade, so that's just me stopping to grab a quick spider kill.
Gonna have a real successful hunt. Got my eye, my friend. Why use your human sight to track the Uruk? I see more than any mortal.
Okay, so here we just spam the X and V keys together. That'll immediately trigger this cutscene.
And the body will wither.
And then we're meant to go around and kill all the archers, but you can just run at him. I do believe I have to kill one of the orcs that gets in my way here. Oh, nope, not on this one. That was the run before that. So essentially we want to sneak up on this guy, but we don't actually want to stealth attack him. we want to stun him, go through a full stun cycle. That will do enough damage there. I accidentally rolled into him there. If you roll away from him, I wouldn't have triggered this little cutscene here with the talk over. So, and then it's just 3 to 4 bow shots, depending on how much health he has. He actually has a variable health pool, is what I've been able to tell from all the runs that I've been doing. Most of the time, 3 shots kills him. Sometimes it's 4. And then the final objective is just to pick up the weapon. And that's pretty much all to say here. I'm spamming the space and enter keys to sort of skip multiple cutscenes, triggers, learning information that you have to do at once, and then finally put our first point into Elven's Witness. And I will see you at the end of the next cutscene.
Sort of. These tracks are not quite human, not quite beast.
Even more reason to investigate.
Okay, so here we're just using Elven Swiftness for obvious speed implications. I'm also keeping my eye out for spiders. I think I just ran over one there, which is really, really lucky. Yep, there it is there. And this is a very, very slight optimization I found here. Most people go for that log jump and then turn left, but if you actually come up over this stone and if you get the jump right, you can then get a boost the whole way up, which is very, very slightly faster. And then, of course, rolling into the cutscene as you carry your forward momentum through the cave. So we're just looking for our last spider here. Got it there. Hunting challenge is complete. So now, after this mission, we'll have enough gold to actually buy the upgrade to arrows. So go from 4 arrows to 6 arrows. Here you can just donkey shot that Caragor. It's actually got 1 HP, so it doesn't matter where you hit it or how you hit it. And then we just need to clear out the orcs there. Now Talion does interrupt you here. Once he finishes this line, mate, you get a prompt up, so there's no point even drawing the bow at this point. I do believe I miss a shot here, no. So here I'm actually just weakening the Caragor. I should have killed it there, but I hit its leg instead of its head. And I waited slightly. I shot slightly too early there, leaving this orc alive. So we'll just grand execute him and then roll into the cave to finish off the golem scene.
Your cowardly creature lurks around here somewhere.
Again, not a huge amount to say here. I'm just looking to optimize as many jumps as we can for Elven Swiftness and heading to unlock a fast travel point that we'll be using later in the run. So I will leave you till I need to inform you of something else.
Did you hear that? It's the shadow.
Okay, so again here, this is just a very small optimization. Climbing up these boxes and then jumping down does give you an Elven Swiftness boost. It is very slightly faster than just plain old running, but you know, every second it's a speed run, so every second counts. I approach these stairs like this always, that guarantees the jump. Jumping on the other bit before is a little bit iffy. But there's not much else to say right now. I go through, I'll get my upgrades during this area, we'll buy the execution skill and we'll buy the arrows, so I'll jump through to the next fight.
You can't trust them. Those slaves will stab you in the back. At least an Uruk will stab you in the front. Most likely to throat. have similar goals, Ranger. See, you want to kill the captain, and somebody's got to take his place. Somebody like Ratbag?
So this Goroth is in charge?
Of this camp, yeah. But he's no war chief. They answer directly to the Black Hand. I'll show them all when I'm in the Black Hand's inner circle. Becoming a captain is just the first step of Ratbag's plan to become a war chief.
Then prepare to step hard.
Okay, so here I actually stand in this particular spot. What that does is that guarantees to spawn this shield guy behind us, and then everyone will sort of spawn in that area. So it gives me more time to sort of ramp up and use the bow. I think I managed to kill 4 out of 5 of them with the bow, and then I think I just ended up attacking the last one. Really unfortunate that that guy had intel, but we cannot use intel yet. We snap this guy's neck, and then finally we will go and push Ratbag towards the objective. So he just stands there and talks, so we can sort of slowly push him with our sword towards where we need to go.
Smug piece of dung he is. We come to blows as far back as Ratbag can remember. Still, Ratbag never wins. Last time, he kicks Ratbag into the Caragor pit. All the others laugh as the Caragor bats Ratbag around like a yarn ball. Oh, that Goroth's gonna pay. Smug piece of dung. He'll pay. Goroth keeps Caragors in pens. And rumor has it he'd a lot to get too close to them.
And let me guess, you think I should open those pens?
Goroth's always in there. Never leaves, ever. Wonder where he is. Oh, that explains the smell.
Keep out of sight. I'll see that your captain gets demoted.
Okay, so this is obviously really close. If I let this guy live, I lose the mission. It only loses about 30 seconds, but it is kind of annoying. And we also shoot that wasp nest to originally get to this guy. And it kind of looks funny in the animation. This guy's talking about how it's a nice place to go for a nap, but there's all these wasps flying around. Flies. They're bowguy flies, sorry, not wasps. I just think of them as wasps.
Goroth's in the hunting camp.
Right, not much else to say here, except for just the only additional thing here is jumping over the fireplace here. It gives me just enough extra boost here to get right up to the tower, rather than it running out about now.
No. Which one of this filth is Goroth?
When I walk the plains of Mordor, I find Caragors by the sound of them.
Beyond the past.
Now, unfortunately, I don't get a skip here. You can actually grab Goroth when he's feared, before this fear animation comes up, and then you can skip that fear animation. And unfortunately, he just gets away from me here. So, running down, press spacebar to dominate him, and then press E to instantly kill him. And that's all there is to this. The next part also is a very small optimization by me again, once we get out of this loading screen. Most of the runs, in fact all of the runs that I watched, run from here. Instead, what I did is fast travel to that location that I unlocked just before. It is faster, not that much faster, but fast enough to worry about it.
What could possibly be next?
We must use the weapons of our enemy against him. The orcs hate each other almost as much as they hate us.
Okay, so here, this is our sort of our another big captain fight. Our goal here is just to snipe out all of the orcs that are actually his followers. So we'll try to kill as many as possible before the fight starts. We also don't want to go forward here. Going forward here will trigger the archers to know where our location is. There I missed a shot, which was really bad, and I think the second one does end up connecting. So he ends up coming running towards us, which means none of the archers actually know where we are. As long as we don't sort of cross that line where he is now, the archers will never engage us. So I run backwards to grab the arrows. It also lets me have time for him to run towards me further so I can start attacking him. Ideally, we would have killed the guy here that's fighting now, but unfortunately, because we have one missed shot, he's hanging around. So we'll get rid of him very, very soon as our focus comes back. Actually, now I get rid of him. Oh no, actually, yeah, he misses his attack here. He should have interrupted me there, but I was very, very lucky he interrupted me back. So we leave him alive, we discover the twin, and then we kill this guy, and mission over.
How did he kill the captain?
Ranger!
This ratbag led us up the chain of command in spite of himself.
He has a gift for failure.
A training platform. Well, we'll see how the war chief soldiers do in the face of a true foe.
Rattle a cage and bring out the beast.
You ride him, then so should we.
If Ratbag is able to take the war chief's place, it'll only be a matter of time.
Okay, so here unfortunately I did get some pretty bad spawns of these orcs. Normally you can stealth both of them very quickly and just get rid of them, but unfortunately they were in really bad locations. I decided to try to use the barrel explosive, then remembering that the barrel explosive doesn't actually kill special orcs like the berserkers, so that was kind of a waste of a barrel. This fight is definitely not optimal. I try to roll away there because you can actually get Mog to jump off the second platform, so he jumps down once, and if you're far enough away from him, he'll actually jump down again while he's delivering his line, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So then I decided to go for a bow shot. I missed that completely, but I still managed to hit the explosive. So the moment he lands on the ground there, you can fire that explosive and it will hit him. This is really a sloppy fight. This is not a great example. I lose a bunch of time here over what I should have had. All of these orcs should have been dead or on fire, but I already used the other explosive barrel. I tried to get greedy there and go get the guy on the ground before I blocked, and that ended up costing me even more, as you can see. And to make it all worse, then we get his lines as well. I tried to get him with the bow shot there, but it just wasn't right. And yeah, he goes on the ground. I'm just trying to run close to him to trigger his final lines. And we finally get him. But huge waste of time there. That could have been much, much better.
We might be shipping out of here. Not me.
Okay, like usual, I'm looking around for intel at this location. I'm trying to figure out exactly... obviously we need to grab intel on 3 out of the 4 remaining war chiefs that aren't Ratbag. And just looking around for any intel. Then we're just going to continue the mission as normal. I was just checking whether or not this mission was closer than the Golem mission, but however it wasn't.
Wait. Must follow us, Master.
Okay, this Golem mission honestly was performed pretty suboptimally. I got lucky in a way here. There is an intel guy here, and we get some intel off him, but overall, it was pretty subpar. Golem stopped a few times, so definitely this would not be a good example of how to do this split entirely. These guys should be knocked away by the more guy flies, and they should never bother. As you can see, Golem hasn't even started his walking, so I left him way too early there. So I find the shot between there really hard to pull off, so that's why I just get that guy to come close. And I swear that hit. I still swear, even looking at my replay, both of those should have hit, but they didn't. And you can see Gollum is still stopping a lot, so this isn't great. I will leave you to the ghoul part now.
Bright Master to show us the way. Bright Master will guide us, will help us.
So here we can actually slightly run ahead of Gollum. And we can actually get to these barrels just as he finishes that line. There's actually a mission fail plane just behind those barrels, but we can get there just in time to trigger the next part of the mission. Now this is unfortunately a bit of a boring one. I'll quickly explain what's going on and then I'll leave you guys to it. Essentially these ghouls will not stop spawning for a minute, so it doesn't matter how many of them you kill, they're just going to keep spawning and spawning. So we wait up here for 2 reasons. 1, they can't hit us up here, and 2, they gather in a nice big clump for when we want to run down and eventually blow them up. And all we're going to do is run down to the boxes, you can see just in the top right, that we've just panned away, but that's okay, and shoot those explosive barrels. So I'll leave you to the next mission. There's not much else to talk about.
Gollum will betray us to the Black Hand the first chance he gets.
He has no love for the Dark Lord. That creature has a part to play in the fate of all Middle-earth. I can feel it.
The little vermin is not here.
The eagle hunts rabbits from up high.
So as you can see, we fast traveled to the top left location, and now we're just doing the next Gollum mission. This unlocks one of the best movement abilities in the game. We'll be using that a lot. I take this right path here to get the speed beast. Honestly, I haven't measured if the other paths are faster and if there's any speed boost or not, but that one feels nice and fast to me, so that's why I use it. So you've heard of the 360 no scope. How about the 45 with scope? Because that's an instant. Honestly though, the game automatically pans you to that, so if you just hold your bow out there, it's fine. I got a donkey run there for some reason. I'm not sure why. Kind of annoying, but is what it is. And then we're just going to continue going up these paths from here. Not much else to say. We're going to follow the Grog path and then get out of here using our shadow strikes. So I'll let you guys watch.
Looks like the Grog won his fight against the Caragors.
And now is ready for another.
Nightcrawlers, vermin from the depths of the earth.
Fly, you fool. Rings of memory. Rings of power.
9 to men. Their power became their undoing. They became the ring wraiths.
Yes, the Nazgul.
But the Nazgul were destroyed.
As are many who come in contact with the Rings of Power.
With any luck, the Uruks have yet to discover the secrets of the blasting powder. We will need to free my men to find out.
Do you believe the blasting powder can draw out the Black Hand?
I pray so. The enemy gathers at Uruk's Hollow, where many of my men are enslaved. I pray Eren, too, is there.
I will handle the Uruks.
Perhaps we can take a more stealthy approach and incapacitate them by using their weakness. Grog. Have you ever heard of
Okay,
Hithless?
so we're moving on to the
It's
Hiragon.
toxic and is good for one thing.
Hiragon.
Poisoning
I'm really not
orcs.
sure how you pronounce it, but
Follow
it
me.
is what it is. We're moving on his mission chains. Unfortunately, he is a real pain to
I
escort.
deserted
You've
the
got to stay
Blackgate. I
really
fell
within a
sick.
certain distance of
It
him,
was Eren who
which is
nursed
why
me
you see me
down.
slowing down,
Is
speeding
she
up,
the
slowing
reason
down,
you
speeding
joined
up.
the
I also
tribes?
try to stay in
Of the
front of
many,
him
she
because
is
it
my
seems to
most
make him run
cherished.
just very
There are
slightly
only so
faster.
many camps my wife could
But
have
that
been
may
taken
just
to.
be
Do you
bias.
believe she will be at this
Here, I
My
don't
heart
believe
says
the strategy
yes.
goes
I hope for your sake she
100%
is, Hiragon.
as well as it should have here. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to kill this one orc here. Now, what that should do is the camp should go and investigate what happened, and they should move around away from the grass. But unfortunately, I walked too far away from Hiragon, and we have to go back and capture him. And I think the orcs misposition here because of that. So we're just waiting. Hopefully we can get in range. These bushes are always in the same location. So we go here. Those people are now inspecting this, so we can go for this one.
Did you hear that?
And in an ideal situation, we can just sneak past here, which I believe happens. Yep. So then we just sneak around. We take a little bit of a wide berth here just to get away from the orcs, and bang. Hiragon does not get into combat, which is really important with him. If he gets into combat, he stops, draws his sword, and then starts fighting. It takes a lot extra time.
Where
So
did you acquire this
that's what we're
blasting
really trying to mitigate at the moment, is
Traded
getting
for
him
it.
in combat as
Lost
little
trade
as
dwarf.
possible. So we're just going to stealth through
Left him our
and
footprints.
kill a Caragor,
Fair, if you
grab
ask
some
me.
more plants in all the
proving
locations, and do the
yourself to
same
be a
thing.
strong
The only other
leader.
thing I will
Or
mention
a
now before I leave you to it
only because
is
I leave
that
the
you'll see
hard
me
work to
collecting
men like
random
you.
plants throughout missions. You've seen them before and you've seen it now. These plants are only really there to heal you, so they're not actually useful. The only reason I'm collecting them is because they're actually worth XP, and you can get some extra, you just get free XP from them. So if we're waiting in a mission like this, why not go and collect them?
In Mordor, even the flowers are of death.
There are far worse things than flowers here.
That captain was tough as steel, but I heard he was picked up in the air and tossed in the dirt like it was nothing. What was that?
I thought it impossible Sauron would ever return.
Darkness descends upon Mordor. Soon it will be impossible not to succumb.
When we realized we couldn't fight the orcs, we started dressing up like slaves, sneaking into their camps to free the others.
A bold strategy.
Not really. Mostly, we'd end up slaves ourselves. At least we came dressed for the part. When I was first rescued by the outcasts, they told me you led the search party for my head.
I volunteered. Were you caught, our fellow rangers would have killed you. I could not let you suffer that fate.
Up here, we almost have enough poison for our purpose.
I look forward to seeing its effects up close.
should be enough. Now all you have to do is drop it into their grog.
Will the orcs not smell the poison?
No. But if they spot you, I doubt they will drink from it. The Uruks are stationed by the front gates. For the sake of my men, keep to the shadows. I'll gather my men and wait. We'll stand ready to seize the blasting powder once the camp is clear. Remember, Talion, don't be seen. These Uruks have killed many slaves for far
Okay, so
less.
here you're actually going to see me do a very, very risky strategy, but it does work out in this case. Shadow Strike into that guy as Hiragon finishes the word less. If you do it too early, you'll get a mission fail and you'll have to walk over with him again. I did that a few times in practice runs, but yeah. If you do manage to get the timing perfectly, you can start the mission over there, killing that guy, and going a few seconds faster for a very big risk.
No wonder this stuff burns so well.
Now, this is not perfect. I kind of overshot this grog a bit. We go to the left here just to make sure that the orcs running towards the grog don't see us. Run around here, and I believe I bump into the wall here and have to end up killing an orc.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, so I lose my movement speed there, and because I was too slow, I have to now kill this orc. And I believe there's an unfortunate spawn up here as well. Yeah, so we have to kill this one. Unfortunately, he's in the way. Probably would have been faster to pull out the bow and kill him, but it is what it is. Finally, we poison the last barrel, and like always, whenever I have some free time while I'm waiting, ignore me jumping over the barrel twice. I kind of was rushing and missed it. But like always, when we have free time, I go and go to plan when there's nothing else to do. Okay, so here kind of ends the scripted default part of the run. Like, we've gone and done as much as we can of the story missions. Everything is pretty much locked now until we manage to murder three other war chiefs. So we have to murder 4 in total, obviously the story one plus 3 non-story ones. This is the first section of real RNG in this game. There has been little minor bits of RNG left, right and centre everywhere, but this is sort of your big RNG moment. Now here I take a little bit of a detour. I notice there's some intelligence just down the road from where the mission starts, so I'm going to grab that. Unlike Shadow of War, in Shadow of Mordor, if you don't know the war chief or you haven't found intelligence on them, you cannot find them on the map. It is impossible. Whereas in Shadow of War, you can find them on the map, you just don't know their weaknesses and strengths. Okay. So this is actually a really quick mission, so I got very lucky here. These missions are random that you get. They're predefined by the war chiefs themselves. So here, killing 5 quick orcs is nice and easy. And again, unlike Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, we can't kind of just go in and expect to just murder the enemy straight up. We have to know their weaknesses if they have any, and we have to try to exploit them. Unfortunately, in this case, this guy has no weaknesses outside of the fact we know he can burn, and he takes damage from combats. Which is honestly, there are some much worse combos here, but it unfortunately means that we're not going to be able to abuse any of his fear. So here his little comrade, a blood axe, actually stops us. Thankfully, it's not like the blood axe in Shadow of War that has a 30-second opening line. And I'm just trying to keep him stun locked as most as possible to get rid of his opening lines. There we know he's vulnerable to explosives, so we're going to do that there. And I nearly get right to the end before actually triggering death lanes. Had I rolled around him and punched him from the back, I probably would have never got this line. But that's alright. We quickly dispatch this war chief and continue on our way.
Damn your eyes, you cursed spirit! There's no rest for you.
So now with 2 war chiefs down, we're just looking at getting a 3rd one down here. I could have actually Shadow Striked to the walls here. I thought it was a Caragor based on its outline, but there are actually multiple walls just crowding around, so very small optimization that could have happened there. Again, I like to point out all my mistakes and make sure that I'm showing as much as possible. Now, speaking of mistakes, I made a huge mistake here. It was a fairly obvious one looking at it now, but at the time I had it in my head that these Caragors that I just summoned there were going to help me. Unfortunately, they don't, and in fact they end up costing me in 15 or so seconds. So the way this works is we've got to hold on to this guy for 20 seconds straight, and I had it in my head that the Caragors wouldn't interact with me because I'm holding an orc, and I thought I was right there by that interaction, but it turns out, no, the Caragors are more than happy to jump on this hill, and if you get knocked out of the grip, you have to start it over again. So what I end up doing is sort of wedging myself between this barrel and this location here, and it seems like when I get it right, the Caragors can't actually touch me. They do eventually find their way to me, but by the time they find their way to me, it's all okay. He lived long enough for that guy to spawn. Now, this guy has a weakness of Caragors, and what I should have done here, again, talking about my mistakes, is I should have climbed these explosive barrels in front of me, and then immediately jumped back onto the Caragors and brought one down with me. But I had it in my head here that the Caragors were going to follow me down straight away because they were in combat with me. Unfortunately, they didn't, so what ended up happening is me fumbling around for a few seconds waiting for the Caragors to come down. They didn't end up coming down, so I ended up going around the map and looking for another Caragor after fighting this guy for a while, which I'm not really, looking back on it now, I'm not sure why I was fighting him at all. I knew he had a fear of Caragors. Once you trigger a fear, you don't actually need to do any damage to the orcs to capture them, so here you can see I'm trying to look for a Caragor, but I'm instead running up walls because I'm trying to think on my head, and that is unfortunately my worst skill in this game. Try to climb this box, fail twice, end up climbing these blood barrels. This was an absolute mess of a split, to be honest. This could have been 40-50 seconds quicker had I just grabbed those first Caragors that I released. Or had I not even summoned those Caragors, we would have saved even more time and just come straight to this Caragor. But we also saw his weak to beast attack, so we just run over him and press right click and he instantly dies, bringing our total count to 3 or 4 war chiefs.
Hubris comes in taming nature. Release the war chief's Caragors and expose his folly.
So again, we're just trying to summon the war chief here. We've got to meet this condition of freeing 3 Caragors. Here I got really unlucky in terms of my starting location versus where the Caragor pages spawned. You can see here they're all kind of in these weird locations where I just can't shoot them. I also call shenanigans on this last cage because I totally can hit this shot here. In Shadow of War, that would have hit 100%, but the hitboxes are a little bit strange in Shadow of Mordor. They're a little more clunky, being the first game of the generation, so I decided, okay, I'm going to get on ground level with this Caragor cage, which happens to be sitting behind these boxes, so then I had to get around the box, and then finally get the shot to unleash the Caragor, and for some reason that didn't work. So then I climb up this box, and then, very frustrating. And shooting any part of the cage in Shadow of War works, whereas Shadow of Mordor it seems like you have to shoot a certain section or the hitbox isn't registered right. I know you can shoot directly on top because I've done that before, but it was just being a bit finicky. Okay, so this guy is a stealth finisher. So we know that so I'm trying to maintain being not in combat with any orcs as they see me too easily. Thankfully I do quite well, and we end up sneaking up on him and getting the insta kill, which was great. That set a really good pace. So we're only about 30 seconds off the world record at this point. Obviously this run is very far behind the world record by the end of it, and that's just due to me not being as polished as the world record player. Here I'm getting a little bit frustrated because I can't fast travel, but it is what it is. So I'll leave you to when I get out of combat, and then I can go fast traveling.
Forgive Erin's words. Her heart is with our people. The slaves you helped us free know where the Dark Lord's monument is most vulnerable. We will strike there. We'll need to steal a cart of grog.
So here we have another long escort mission with Paragon. There is not much to say, so I'm going to be jumping in and out a lot and just letting you guys watch as it comes. But the only optimization here is to obviously kill this ghoul before Paragon draws his weapon, so that we don't have to wait for him to do his draw weapon animation and then put away weapon animation. So that's why I'm slightly off here, just so I can see this ghoul early.
Cannot be tamed.
And outside of that, it's really just keeping close to Paragon, engaging with enemies as soon as possible. I use Caragors in the first and the third camps really effectively. So the first camp here, I unleash the Caragor just by shooting its cage. And again, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. So we're going to unleash the Caragor here. It manages to clean up a couple of orcs for me while I'm cleaning up the first lot here. So we're going to grab this guy and then we're going to focus down with archers. It probably would have been better to still Shadow Strike this one and kill it. However, the next one I probably should have just shot him from here and then Shadow Strike directly over.
What was that?
All clear, men! Excellent, Talion. Now we must ensure our men can push the cart to the monument free from harm. Look, how fast evil corrodes.
This decay. Gondor must not fall prey to the Shadow.
Let's move. Wait. Something hides in the dark.
So here again, we're just trying to do ghoul cleanup as quick as possible. Paragon basically stands on top of one spawn, I take care of the rest of the spawns. And then we run back to him as soon as possible to trigger his walking animation again. Now during this, I'm just trying to get up here to get an angle, and that angle will let me explode this campfire, killing a few orcs before the actual mission starts. Unfortunately, we only got one there. Ended up getting 3 total actually, so that was alright. I actually had it in my mind that I only killed one. We're out of arrows here, so I kind of take the long route here. I should have gone for one of the guys underneath and then just drained them, but instead I ended up draining this guy. I did not need to kill him. Once he's drained, he'll run away. Essentially, he is counted as feared. So that was a little bit of a mistake, but it's not the end of the world. And we're just doing more orc cleanup. There's not much else to say about this one.
fighting side by side. Who would have thought?
Oh, here, one thing to note is that Hiragon only measures horizontal distance away from you. He doesn't actually measure vertical distance, so he's actually still pathing until right now when he considers himself too far away. I did make a mistake here by leaping off the wrong side of the building once I captured this tower, but that tower's going to come in handy later, so a tiny bit of time loss is definitely worth it to grab that tower, but there wouldn't have been any time loss had I just leapt off the right side of the tower instead of the left there.
The ghouls swarm Durthang. My men can use this distraction to push the cart beneath the bridge unseen.
Fun little point here, if you kill that ghoul before Hiragon gets a chance to get in combat with it, for some reason he goes turbo mode here, and you can see him, he catches up to me in an instant. So it's really good to kill that ghoul. Now we're just doing a bridge fight, more ghouls, you know the drill.
They're upon us. My men will protect the cart. Let's clear the ridge so they may pass. Be ready, Talion. The next outpost will be the largest.
It's too quiet. Something is amiss.
So right here is why I put the early point into Caragor riding. I think this is so much more efficient than fighting the Caragor. Simply grabbing this Caragor now, so we can take it. It takes a few seconds to capture the Caragor, yes, but it also massively reduces our time to fight ghouls here. The ghouls are kind of spread out and annoying, whereas the Caragor acts as basically a third person killing ghouls. You can see it here. It ends up mauling them nice and quickly. And then we don't also have to waste 2 arrows or time killing the Caragor, which is great.
One enemy replaces another.
The monument is upon us. A tribute to darkness built by the blood of my people. I will relish its destruction. Take a long look. That monument will soon fall. There, Ranger. Our success depends on your ability to clear the outpost of Uruk. Only then can my men get into position to destroy the monument.
Did you make the lock?
The Uruk's numbers dwindle now that their war chiefs
Now,
have
I was
fallen
trying to
by
get a orc to run away by shooting that nest before. I also thought there might be a Caragor up there, which there wasn't. But what I'm doing is I'm just trying to trigger the orcs, as many orcs as possible, to flee. Because it doesn't matter if we flee or we kill them, they all count together. Grab our extra arrows there, that guy's going to flee. We learnt our lesson from last time. I should have stealth killed the shield here, doesn't really matter that much, as for some reason he ends up fleeing. I don't know why, but I will 100% take it. And really now it's just a matter of cleaning up more orcs. So there's not much else to say here, a little bit inefficient, but overall still fairly decent.
You handle the cart with the explosives.
Okay, so the only thing to note here is really that we need to make sure that no orcs get in the way of the cart, as well as I don't get in the way of the cart, because anyone getting in front of it will essentially stop it until they're cleared away. So the other thing to note is that we want to end this section with full arrows, or at least enough to kill the first wave of archers, which is... There we get a nice cool animation of an orc dying without us actually killing him at all. So here I'm basically just throwing the orcs away from the cart so they don't get in the way. And I grab my extra arrows here because I know we're about to head into part 2, which is just stuff for 3 archers. So I haven't actually tested whether or not we actually really need to kill these archers. I'm assuming we do, but then again, from the second wave that spawned, they're not that accurate, so we might be able to get away with maybe killing 1 or 2, but it's not worth the time saved versus the potential time loss. The rest of this we can just keep pushing the cart. No ground orcs will bother us. They'll throw an axe at us occasionally, or the cart, but it doesn't really matter. And we can just ignore the second wave on the archers that spawn.
To these outcasts, it seems I am less of a monster in death than I was in life.
It is the Black Hand and his captains who are the true monsters. They will return, and when they do, these men will die.
I will teach you what
Okay, so this fight does not go as planned. Essentially, how the hammer fight is meant to work is you're really meant to build up combo on the orcs around you and then unleash your executes on them. You can actually attack the hammer up to 3 times. As you can see, as soon as you attack the hammer a 3rd time, he will immediately do an attack which you have to somersault away from. You have to have lightning fast reflexes to get that. So this is I think this is a pretty good example of what we should be doing. 1, 2, 3, roll away, attack him again, roll away, attack him again. But I stuff it up there and lose my combo, wasting a ton of time. So we're going to see that throughout the whole panel fight. Ideally, this fight would go about 15-20 seconds quicker if I hadn't managed to drop my combo multiple times and managed to continue hitting him during the entire process.
Now I inflict the pain. Back to work, swine! Back to work! The Dark Lord will rule! Now you may deal the death blow and prove your worth, pig filth! Your time is not now! Ranger, time to die! Crush him! How does your vengeance taste, Talion? Is not the darkness sweet? We have defeated the Hammer of Sauron, but the Black Hand and the Tower remain.
And their master.
That's the Ranger! Hit his legs!
Father, I am with child. Talion's child.
I was offered a post commanding the Black Gate. I intended to refuse. I shall hide you both there.
I need to find the way to Morgoth's Scar. There's a good chance we can pick up the Ghoul's trail at that ransacked caravan we passed.
Not much to say here. We've fast travelled to the second zone, obviously. We're just going to shadow strike to these orcs just to save ourselves a couple of seconds. And it's really important that we take this fast travel point now, as we're going to be using it a lot. It is super important that you do these 3 missions first, because they give you the ability to actually brand war chase, which is the point of this whole area. So shadow strike down here, head to the cart, and thankfully we know where the ghouls are going, so we don't need to worry about actually following the trail, which takes you everywhere.
Scavengers. They take all but leave.
Shadow strike up to one of these orcs. There's always orcs on this area, so that's really good to shadow strike to. And then we just head to the cave.
There's our trail.
This hollow bleeds with death.
And this must be Morgoth's Scar. In the belly of the beast, stealth is my best weapon.
Okay, so this is one of those really annoying stealth missions where you're not allowed to get seen. And even if you were seen, I mean, we could take the ghouls that would spawn in here, but the game says no. So we do a little bit of a wait there, run through, and continue following the path. Now here, we do take a little bit more risky strat, but it works out most of the time here, jumping straight off this rope rather than following the actual path you meant to go, heading down this right side, then to the left. That ghoul always jumps down, which is fine. And then we shadow strike across to this ghoul here, who will get in our way regardless, so we may as well shadow strike to him. Finally, run along this rope bridge and grab our treasure. Now, the next bit's a bit funny. I actually play on the lowest graphics, not because my computer can't handle higher graphics. It can handle the highest graphics fine, but purely because the load times are smaller. But that creature actually, the Ghoul Mother actually sits just outside of the trigger for the low poly version, so we actually see the low poly Ghoul Mother for a few seconds, which is kind of hilarious. Here I believe I missed my final shot on her. Yep. And then we can actually see the actual high poly model. This ghoul fight goes pretty well. You get 4 sword swings on her before you have to retreat back to the next fire, make it explode again. Normally you have to swing the sword a couple more times, but thankfully it worked out in the end. So that's the Ghoul Mother dead, and now we have to do the run away sequence, which always goes pretty much the same way. We're essentially looking for any boost we can take. I actually get a free boost off this gate. We get there so fast that the gate doesn't open in time. So run up and get the boost, and then we're just looking for boosts. I think I take 1 too many boosts here. Let me think. Yeah, this fireplace here. I don't need this fireplace boost because we can make it to that box here. But not the biggest time loss in the world. And we get out, and that's the Ghoul Mother done.
What of your vision, Celebrimbor?
I used all that he had taught me and forged the 3 in secret. Water, air, and fire.
The quartermaster over there is
Marwen's decree was speed. The future must be met.
you could throw a blaze head in the air
Queen told us our answers to building an orc army lie within this fortress.
If we brand those archers, we can build our army and save these men at the
Now,
same time.
I was actually experimenting with routes. There is probably a faster route from here by just branding the guy directly in front of you and then basically doing this route in reverse, but I wanted to see whether or not this would be faster, and unfortunately on the very last archer I do get kind of a little bit stuck on which archer I should take, so it ends up being slower, but I think this route has potential to be faster than the current best route.
Gaze into the light of my eye. See the blue flames that will save.
These villains take our hands, but no more!
Mine is the sight that will pierce your mortal will.
Take their lives as well! Kill me!
Let your hand be guided by silver. Witness the flame and be led to your redemption.
The enemy's too quick!
And here obviously killing 14 orcs is going to take us a long time, so we just end up blowing up this barrel. The shield guys obviously they weren't standing with their backs to it, so they take a while. And then I forget about the archer up here. Where is he? Oh, we go for this guy first, who somehow survived the explosion, not sure how, and then there's that archer up there that I should have done beforehand. Drain him for extra arrows, and then we'll quickly skip this cutscene and go on to the next bit. Now, in the next part, you're very likely to get a orc that spawns with intelligence. It's happened to me a lot of my runs, so keep an eye out for it. It happens in this run. So all we do is we wait a few seconds for the orcs to gather here, and then we blow up this nest. That normally kills them all. I see the intelligence, we go for it. Grab our intel, and then we kill the one remaining orc who didn't get feared by the flies. And that's the end of that story. So now we have the ability to dominate captains and war chiefs and orcs. We're going to actually go and do the dominate captain / war chief mission. So when you're gathering intel, one really important thing is never select the second captain in the second zone. He's always a story mission orc, so if you gather intel and select him, you get the intel for free during this next upcoming sprint anyway.
It is a gift. We can use the weapon of the enemy against him.
Okay, so here I'm still on two minds whether or not it's faster to go left here and wait for the archer to spawn, or if it's faster to go to the right and take the same shadow strike that you did when you took the tower fast travel point before. But regardless, we're going to get this. Unfortunately, this archer's in a bad location, so I think we have to pull him out with Distract. So it's like, come on. And we'll actually take him to our side here. It is slightly slower, but it gives us the extra arrows here. We're going to stop popping off the special orcs, so berserkers, shield orcs. They're the ones we're trying to kill because we're going to blow up this fire in a sec, and most of those will die for that. End up killing this guy, and I think we turn this next orc that comes at us as we have time to. Finally, it's just the usual fight against the captain, nothing special here, and so I'll see you on the next part.
Killing Uruk by surprise, but not me. I will nail your feet to a wall. Not now. Ever. Weak as a babe. I see you!
It is done. He's ours.
We must now make this captain a bodyguard, if he is ever to be a war chief.
It is from first strike of thunder that is soon born a storm.
Okay, so here I actually Shadow Strike to the wrong archer. This is meant to be an archer you grab later on for an arrow refill, but that was my fault. I was meant to Shadow Strike to this archer here. Here's another mistake I made. This is just me coming from Shadow of War, where doing this would also give you intel, but in Shadow of Mordor it doesn't. It just turns into one of your followers and you lose that intel. So that was a small mistake for me. Luckily it doesn't actually matter that much in this run, but just something to keep an eye on. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to snipe out anyone who's going to fight Grublik straight away, so that we can move on as fast as possible. So we're just going for the headshots here, not much else to report, and then we'll move on to the second camp. We have to do this 3 times total before Grublik becomes, essentially, in the eyes of his war chief, becomes a valid captain, become a bodyguard. Now, you don't have to stay off the ground here. I was just trying to, obviously, because of, you know, the bonus objective here. But then I noticed that there's intel on the ground, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to stay off the ground at all. My archery is kind of subpar here. It takes me longer than it should be to actually get these shots here. But that's okay. I'm going to snipe out all these guys before Grublik even gets here, so he'll talk to an empty field. And then we're going to go grab this intel here. And finally we do this one more time, and what we're going to do, you'll see me draining Grublik after we do the 3rd camp, and that's purely just to skip some of his voice lines. So we're going to run over here and do the exact same thing again. Unfortunately, here's my poor archery in motion again, just missing all the time.
Our captain fights for us well.
Through my will, he steers these Uruks of Mordor.
I conquered the weak. Hail our captain! May we die last. We fight for true Uruk.
Now that we have our hunter, let us stalk our prey. Spread the word. The resistance will be here soon.
The war chief has chosen our captain.
And he has chosen death. A great advantage will ready us for this battle.
Did you hear that? That's because it's tastier while it's still beating.
Listen to them. Vile, savage beasts.
And we shall harness and command their savagery.
I don't really care what killed him. It's not my problem. You disgust me.
Okay, so as we open up onto this next scene, I make another big mistake here. It loses me close to 45 seconds, I believe. It's really terrible. I should not have unleashed these Caragors considering where my guy was standing. But unfortunately I just wasn't thinking. I was like, oh yeah, the Caragors will help distract. But yeah, it ends up costing me a lot when they kill my captain. So I have to redo this section.
Hoping to strike while this Caragor distracts me, are you?
Think again.
is in place. We are ready for our final move.
So this time we end up being able to clean up our War Chief here nice and quickly. It means Grublik's going to get ascended to the War Chief throne. Not much else to say about this. You'll see me again do some animations, skips with Grublik when he becomes War Chief. So at first I'll drain him, then I'll grab one of his followers and actually just interrogate them, and that will skip another cutscene. And that's really all there is to say about this, and we'll move on from there.
How did you defeat me?
I fight for the Dark Lord, and you shall fight for me! This is my dominion! I am the strongest war chief in all of Mordor! I shall lead my army over a field of...
Queen Marwen's plan has given us great strength.
Strength should not be squandered, but wielded. The Queen will show us how.
Marwen's... Saru? Mon is one of the Istari. With the power of the ring, he could have built a great army to challenge the Dark Lord.
That's what we must do. The one... Garrison does not an army make.
Yes. We must dominate more war chiefs for a true army.
You're finished.
Okay, so again, we're sort of in that big RNG section of the game. So here, I'm deciding what I want to do next, whether or not I want to move on to big game, or if I want to try to take on a war chief, how I want to do it. So there's obviously lots to consider here. Getting this fast travel point is really important. I find myself using it quite a bit, so I end up deciding to get this nice and early. I then take a look at the nearby War Chief mission and realise it's a fairly easy mission to complete, so I'm going to go and risk it and do this War Chief the normal way. We could try to find Grublik and start a Riot, but that can take a long time to actually find where Grublik is. He's in a location that's nowhere near my fast travel locations, so I just decide to risk it and go do this the normal way. So I see that it's a helpless mission. Helpless just means kill 5 without being seen. I actually do fail this the first time, which is really, really embarrassing, but I fail it quick enough that I go for it again. The second time I do manage to smash it out. So all being said, I will leave you to watch my first failure and then my success, and I'll catch you back up afterwards.
We've got an army here!
Kill the Uruks before they signal their kin. Then the war chief will be their only reinforcement.
Something just moved over there!
I thought I heard something.
Hard, hard.
I see the ranger! Better get their ass over here! There's something about it. The bravest of the out of body, gibbering with fear.
I don't care if the rest.
Okay, so this mission's pretty straightforward. We Shadow Strike directly to this archer here, we brand him, and then we blow up with fire. Now, there is one person that's going to survive here, I believe. Yep, he's going to survive because he stars an icon on the map. Once we kill him, then we get the flag to say, okay, you've cleared this area.
They must know that
Shadow Strike up to this guy. And I believe I drain him here. I don't actually need to drain him here. This was kind of a waste of time, but that's okay. We Shadow Strike directly to this one, and then we drain this guy. Now, you mentioned I unleashed the Caragor here, but I found it just faster to shoot these guys here. One of them will go for the alarm, the rest will start climbing up here. You can just grab them and just throw them off the edge, and that's high enough for them to count as falling off the ledge, and they die instantly. So that's that section done. Again, we're just going to Shadow Strike over to the farthest archer over here.
I can see why men follow.
And we're going to knock down this bee's nest, which thankfully spawned this time. It doesn't always spawn. There we go, there we knock it down. And then we just have to fight a captain. We go for the stealth brand, just in case he's not resilient to stealth, and we can stealth brand him. Unfortunately, he is resilient to stealth, so that ends up happening. And it's just a standard captain fight from there, and that's the mission done.
I recognize that move. I will roast your bones over. You already tried that.
Real strength shines through her leadership.
It's reflected in the eyes of her people with respect rather than fear.
Okay, so here I make my decision to not go for any more war chiefs at the moment and instead start the big game series of quests where we're going to help Torvin take down the legendary Grog. There isn't much to say about these. They're fairly on rails. Once I get into the quest itself, there we go, they're fairly on rails. There is a couple of skips you'll see me do here, so we're going to wait for Torvin to get to a specific location and then we're going to run away from him to trigger a much later scene. This saves around 45-50 seconds. This is not my strategy, this is just one I saw one of the other players doing, so really useful, but unfortunately Torvin missions tend to have a lot of escorts in them and not a lot of skips. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for Torvin to get close here, and I could probably go a little bit earlier, but I'm just playing it safe here because I know this runs pretty good pace. So now we run away from Torvin. We get to this part here, it'll say, hey, you're very close to failing, but it spawns these 3 Caragors, and the back one is the only one we can actually target, and we get it to come. Now, I'm standing actually in the wrong location here. This is bad. I need to stand closer to the ladder here, and you'll see why in a sec. I actually miss the Caragor. It doesn't get close enough. So I bring it back down to ground level, this time come over to the ladder, and end up taming it this time.
That's about the same time it took me to tame one. You might be a natural, Captain. You didn't fare too bad back there. Where'd you get your training, Captain?
I hail from the Black Gate.
The Black Gate. Nice place. Let's find some Uruks. Now that you tame the beast.
The Caragor fast!
Cutting orcs! Great way to unwind! I can take down more than you!
Now here, thankfully, we can just abandon our Caragor and let Torvin do all the work while we quickly scale and grab this waypoint. It is really useful, and you should always grab this fast travel point because we will need it later on for a mission. So I was looking for Shadow Strike targets there to get back to my Caragor quickly. Unfortunately, there were none left. My Caragor actually did some cleaning, and Torvin was really cleaning house today, which was good. Normally there's only about 3 dead by this point, but Torvin's killed most of them, so yeah, now we're just running along. We're going to snipe out any of the archers we see, we know where they spawn, and get rid of all the ground troops ASAP to keep Torvin moving. And that's pretty much the theme of the rest of it. We don't need to be sitting here explaining it to you. We're just trying to get Torvin moving as fast as possible.
Yes, though the Doom does add a spice to the hunt. You take him up high. Leave the ground dogs to me. Hills and dells. He drank from yet untasted. That fire better not set my beard alight. Meant for big whip. Dragon burst. Bad, you got the basics now. Let's take on the next patch. We'll find another path. Put you to a final test. Fight him however you like.
Oh, running short on lessons?
Running long on lip? You'll need to think on your feet. When we face the Graug, can't always look to me for help. The hunt is about discipline. Training yourself to see the perfect moment, rather than being told it. I once tracked a grey eagle back to her nest. I decided to let them be. Even before they tossed me to the rocks below. beast riding dwarf is back!
Lucky you! Knock off the door! You'll have far to fall! It's a category! Kills are much cleaner! Kill the quality over quantity!
Torvin is too quiet. Something must be wrong.
Go to him, Talion. Perhaps
You'll make a nice meal, dwarf!
Torvin needs help.
Someone's sneaking about.
That's the thrill of the hunt! Just so you know, I had him.
What does riding... This dwarf is far from home.
not all those who wander are lost.
So, what backward lesson do you have planned this time, eh? Shooting Crabane to prepare us for the mighty Graug?
You want to hunt Graug? And so you shall. But not just any Graug. This is a rare one. It's territorial. Strong enough to claim land as its own. And you and me...
Okay, so we're on the second part of the Torvin missions here. Basically, we need to fight this Graug. Now, the most important thing I do right here is blow up this fire. And believe it or not, that's actually seriously important. You need to kill all of these orcs, and see I'll actually go back and kill the one that survived the explosion. That's really important. Without it, the Graug actually survives. Sorry, the orcs survive, and the Graug gets into combat with them, but we'll actually see you stalking up on it. But if the orcs are already dead, it will skip an animation and go straight into its eating, which allows you to stealth directly up to it and slice open its ankle.
Sneak up behind the giant beast and bleed the bastard's ankle.
But why not his throat?
There is one place Graugs aren't covered in spiky scales. They don't call a weakness a Graug's heel for nothing.
You want me to sidle up to this beast?
If you can manage it without being crushed, yes. There it goes. What a fine, fine specimen.
And it'll meet a fine end.
Step 2, Captain. The blood will attract Caragors. Jump on one before she jumps on you. Your speed will now match the Grau's. Get her to chase you. I'll be waiting.
That will be quite a ride. I need a Caragor for speed. Sounds easy enough.
Right, her Captain! Here you! I've slain bigger Graugs when I was a wee boy and my beard was only 3 inches long! Step 3, shoot it in the head. Look over here! Nothing like a dwarf for dessert. We're a sweet little morsel. If you can get me in your mouth before I drop you with my...
What's step 4?
There is no step 4. It should be dead. You must have done it wrong. I'm following your orders. Well, that's your problem. Think for yourself. I have an idea. What are you doing? You can't ride a rogue. Now that's a hunter.
Your life ends with the sting of my blade. The darkness.
So here I actually decide, you know what, I've had enough of Torvin missions for now. I actually really don't personally enjoy Torvin's missions. I find them kind of like a really just a bit boring for me personally. So I actually take a break to start the next process of taking over the war chiefs. Now you could go and do all the war chiefs normally, and that's what I did in my last attempt at this game, is just went and fought each of the war chiefs, did each of their missions. But what you can actually do, and what you should be doing, is triggering riots, and they're very, very easy to do. Here I'm wasting a ton of time. I don't know why I'm mucking around with these orcs or trying to find this location. I should know where it is. I should just get off the building, but we'll ignore that. We should trigger a riot, and what we do is we come here, we summon our war chief as we have here, and we go, hey, you want to go fight this guy by using the command tool. And so instead of going through a big long mission where we have to kill X amount of people or do X task and then get the war chief to be summoned and then possibly fight them, possibly, have to fight them with a bunch of people around, we instead just throw our guy to the ground for some reason, and we instead just do the riot, which skips that whole thing and makes a new mission that just basically pits two war chiefs against each other. It's great.
Jump down. I'm glad you brought so many victims for us today.
You scrawny bunch really think you have a chance? Onward, boys!
What's that?
Brawl.
So here, because I've actually got the intel on these war chiefs, you can actually start a riot without the intel, believe it or not. But since I've got the intel on these war chiefs, what I'm actually doing here is just abusing my weaknesses. This guy has nothing I can really abuse, except for the fact that he's weak by the bow, so we're going to get him to like half HP. Now, the thing is, we need to take the war chiefs and have them as our troops, basically. But sometimes I find it pretty slow to actually fight the war chiefs and then do this. And for example here, I on purposely kill the war chief because what's going to happen, as soon as I kill the war chief, one of his bodyguards is elevated to the position of power, and you can see that there by the crown above them. However, they also count as fleeing right now, so we can just grab them straight away, and that's that. So if it's quicker to kill a war chief and just brand one of his bodyguards, I'll do that. And we can immediately trigger another riot here because we can tell that bodyguard to start the next riot. So that's pretty much how we're going to chain all these together.
Remember when you were bragging about being a... Come back here, will you? Pathetic little maggots they slay. They don't know how good they got it. At least it's in a... We could say the weather would probably kill us.
So here we're going to move into the next riot. Pretty similar to the last one, we're going to make sure we check out the war chief's weaknesses. And I believe this is the one with the interesting weakness. So I'm just going to wait for the weakness screen to come up to confirm that, but I'm fairly sure this is the one with the very abusable weakness. So we can see here he's actually weak to stealth. Now, unlike Shadow of War, weak to stealth actually is really interesting because it means you can instant brand them without worrying about whether or not they're on your side. So we're going to instantly brand this guy and everything's all good.
Dead man!
Now, here I'm trying to initiate another riot, but his bodyguards for some reason decided not to run away. Normally they do. But this time they didn't, so instead I'm going to grab my older war chief, not the new one, and just do another riot from there. And say, hey, would you mind going and fighting this last guy? And from here I finally decide, well, I'm kind of in a position to do 12, so let's go and do the final 12 mission, even though I kind of really dislike these.
Torvin! A deadly hunter needs a deadly man! Careful! This one's ready for lunch! Hunt of a lifetime! However short that is! I assume you know the path. The real question is, are you ready to travel it? Whatever happens during the hunt, think, what would Torvin do? Actually, that's a good life lesson for you to follow always. I pray your training sticks, or else you'll stick to the wall once the mighty Graug hurls you there.
I'm ready to fight the Graug.
And that's just what you do. Fight. No art, no finesse. The hunt isn't about swinging and slashing, it's bigger than that.
From your perspective, Dwarf, everything is bigger.
Yes, this Graug is very, very big. Oh wait, you're mocking me. Graugs are one of the oldest species of Mordor, and the deadliest by far. It's been a long time since I faced this Graug. Let us hope time wasn't as gentle to him as it was to me. My old partner and I once tracked a Graug from Mount Dolmed to Nogrod. We finally slayed it and got stuck under his leg for 2 days. Ah, those were fun times.
saw the beast was with my old partner, and I tracked it into his dwelling.
How did you get out alive?
Luck! The growl knocked me senseless. When I came to, it had ended my partner. Facing that creature alone was a death sentence. I've been hunting this Graug for almost a decade. That's a lot of years of dedication to one beast.
Dedication? Or a sign you preach better than you hunt?
Oh, that's funny, Captain. I'll be sure to laugh when the beast eats you alive. The mighty Graug will be my legacy. Dwarves will tell tales of Torvin the Hunter for generations. And I'll have them throw your name in there somewhere. Whoa! I got it.
The Naug has fallen. History repeats itself.
Let's just do as Torvin said. Rule number one. We improvise. It's too strong. I must attack from afar. A shot to the skull will disorient him.
There isn't a lot to say about this. I definitely don't do this fight optimally. The Grog, obviously, 3 cycles is optimal, which I do manage to get, but the Grog does manage to eat 2 of the ghouls. He can only eat a maximum of 2 ghouls. If he eats any more than 2, you actually have to do another whole cycle on him. So I got very, very lucky that he didn't pick up a 3rd ghoul and eat it. There's not much else to say about this fight. This is really just get far enough away from him to charge at you, shoot him in the head, press control, wait for the ghouls to spawn, kill them so he don't get eaten, and then repeat. So I'll leave you with the fight.
sacrifice. We protect Gondor here, in this barren land, ensuring the safety of all those we love.
I hope that... Torvin finds his way home, now that his hunt is over.
If he does, then he will find... His home is not as he left it.
You have brought your followers to their doom! That pile of schlock you call an army makes me laugh!
So here's the final riot. Pretty much it's going to go exactly how the other riots have gone. We're going to check out the War Chief's weaknesses. You can obviously do this in the army menu as well, but I find it most of the time quicker doing it like this. Unfortunately, this guy has no real weaknesses, so it's just a standard fight. And I'll let you watch that, and then I'll come back on the next mission.
Well, the escape artist. Don't think you'll get away this time. You've no idea of my skills, Waker. Hold still. You've no idea of my skills, Waker.
Hated that boss's guts. Thanks for that.
I see you. Turn counts. All at once!
Okay, moving into the rescue here, the orcs seem to always spawn in the same location, so this is the path I've ended up sort of taking. I Shadow Strike to that first one, Brand to the second one, and then Brand the first one. Then we Shadow Strike across to the next pillar area, get the lone orc on the pillar, brand him as well. Unfortunately there's no Shadow Brand like there is in Shadow of War, at least not that I have access to yet. There might be one later down in the talent trees. Brand this guy, and then we grab the two underneath guys, and that puts us in exactly in the location we need to be to start the next part of this mission. And again, we're going to aim at trying to brand overkill as many orcs as possible, because the more orcs we have here, the faster this section goes. And that's really all we're doing, is dragging her body around and branding orcs as we go.
You want the Grave Walker? Tyranny!
Again if you dare.
They forced me to watch as they killed my men. one after another.
I know what you feel. We must hurry. The Uruks rally when their brethren fall.
So will my tribe.
Plan your vengeance once we have escaped.
I don't seek vengeance. I fight because it would be wrong not to. Talion, I can no longer draw my sword.
Then I will do so in your stead.
You're not. You little world. Someone's
I am but a handicap to you, Talion.
You are hurt because of me. I am the handicap to you. You have the warrior spirit. I've never met a fighter with such vigor for battle.
I have no choice. In the face of darkness, it is our duty to bring light.
Steady. I'm here.
Let's make haste. My leg is broken, not my spirit. The Tower of Sauron interrogated me on your whereabouts, but I did not betray you.
Then you have proven my faith.
As you now prove mine.
The horde is endless. My sword can only take so many.
The Black Hand is near! Stay put! Back to work. Nobody liked him anyway. I'm ready for some proper action. I say
Thariel and her men will not survive Mordor. They must leave or perish. The Black Hand will suffer for this.
All at once!
We wish to thank you for coming to our aid, Captain.
Aye. Deathstroke is a strong weapon, but a strong weapon can be broken. Urukai are the rock that can break the weapon. Death to man! Kill! Drown the air with Uruk cries, and the earth with Uruk blood!
Okay, so here we have, this is our biggest rival. I didn't even remember him at the time, and looking back on this post-edit, I still don't remember who this guy was, but apparently he was our biggest rival during the entire sequence. So, we're going to do this fight. Unfortunately, he has no weaknesses that I can abuse, at least none that I can find. And we're going to do this fight, and then we'll go into the fight against the tower, which was extremely suboptimal, but I'll talk about that when we get there.
the final reckoning. The science tells us. What sorcery is at work here?
Okay, so this was really bad of me. So I didn't get any good tower spawns to begin with. And I know this spawn here that I go for is always bad because the tower is always going to spawn towards us. I tried to use the distract method, but it never works on this guy. I don't know why I went for this. I should have climbed up the tower and dove down on top of him, but I end up wasting a bit of time. The rest of it's pretty much going to go as normal. I don't get any good spawns on the second spawn either, so I'm stuck looking around a bit for the tower. Eventually find him, brand him a few times, and that's the tower fight done.
What do you still fight for? I shall make you walk through the grave again and again until you know that it is your place to stay there and never return. You will never see your family again.
Your journey on to white shores glide, and there you settle in with pride. And to the rangers who honor Gondor,
found his way up half of Narcos' steps.
one day he will run up them and be a brave ranger of Gondor.
Or cobblesmith, or musician.
Yes.
I come for you, Lord of Gifts. Feel the true power of the Grave Walker!
Okay, so now it's time for the fights against the Talons. Again, this definitely was not optimal. I never really want to engage the third Talon in combat. He is the pain in the ass, and I should have actually been hitting him with the arrows here, as he's the hardest to kill in my mind at least. So instead, for some reason, I focused down the first Talon, which again isn't a bad one because he is a shield bearer. But the third talent also can't be bolted over, so he is the one I really should be shooting and then focusing down all the other ones first. Not much else to say about this. It's a standard orc fight. You just beat up all the talons, but yeah.
Fire Mountain bring doom! Doom to all men! I weep not for me, but for the Uruk you have slaughtered, you butcher! You're the one who tried to save the witch's fisher folk. But you turned your back, and we made him scream. Sauron, take your rise. Turning into a right bloody nuisance, aren't ya? You'll find my neck a little harder than the towers.
This will finish as it started, with shadow and flame falling on the Black Gate. The hammer and the tower are dead. Sauron is still weak. Without the power of the One Ring or the Ringmaker, he cannot take form. He will be trapped within Mordor, no more than an eye of flame bound to his dark tower.
So it was this point that I actually was starting to get really nervous and shaky in my hands. Thankfully you can't see it because there's really not much else to do at this point, but I was looking at the time and going, this could be 5th place, and it ended up being 5th place, which I'm really, really happy about. I've only been running this for a few weeks now, and to be able to take out 5th is something that I'm really, really excited about. Obviously 1st place is going to be a lot of work, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go for it from here, or whether I'm just going to leave this as a very happy 5th, but we'll see what I feel like over the next few months. But right now I'm extremely happy with this run. Obviously there were a lot of little mistakes, 1 or 2 major mistakes, but that's it for the run. Sauron's dead, or at least dead till the next one, and we get to have a nice little celebration. So thank you very much if you're still hanging around watching to the end, and I really hope you enjoyed. Cheers.